Happening to me.
All right.
Which song is that?
I think it's called The Greatest Love of All. All right. Now I'm going to start the show.
You mind if I sing that song on the?
We are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York girl. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey, everybody, it is the New York Knicks podcast, episode 597, part of Dash Radio. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
It only took 597 episodes, but I finally got a microphone. Yeah, we're going places.
It sounds really good.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Does it sound good enough that I can just like kind of tell you sweet nothings as you go to bed at night?
I mean, this is such a pleasant upgrade. I'm very happy.
I am glad you're happy. And are you a happy Knick fan? You know what made me happy today, actually?
Wow.
I am a big fan of going on Knicks Reddit. I don't know if you go on there. I used to go a lot more on posting and toasting in their comment section, but for whatever reason, it seems like less people comment on there than they used to, and it's not as good as it was. I enjoy comment sections, and I was looking for an alternative. I found kind of Knicks Reddit. I really enjoy it. Anyway,
Do you post in there?
I once in a while post in there under a different name, not the New York Knicks podcast. Do you post on there, Jay?
Once in a while. I have a NY Knicks podcast Reddit name.
Oh, I have a totally different account. I don't feel like
Promoting
helping
the show
helping the podcast at all. Anyway,
I want to keep it a secret. That's how most podcasts succeed.
I think I set up the Reddit account for a different, I didn't set it up just to comment on there, and then I used a different name, and then I just kind of kept with that. But whatever, I could access that account also, Jay. We can do joint everything.
Yes.
But anyway, I saw a post on there today. Actually, let me see if I can find this post real quick. I'm not gonna take long to try to find it, but it was the reaction to the post made me very happy. So here was the I can find it. It's really annoying if I'm trying to bring something up and I can't find it right away. But anyway, what I really enjoyed about it was basically it was a post basically being like, well, there we go again. That's the Julius Randle we know from the Atlanta Hawks series. When the big game came up, he sucked. He missed his shots. He blew it. He's not a good player. We should move on from him. It was just like a really like super negative Julius Randle post.
Mm-hmm.
And like 100 responses were like, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? He played one bad game. Dude, what the hell's wrong with you? He played great defense the rest of the game, got a ton of rebounds. He sucked for the first quarter, played pretty well after that. It was just post after post being like, what the hell is wrong with you for posting this?
Good, I'm
Stop
glad.
being so negative on Randle. Randle has been playing great. Calm the crap down.
Everybody has bad games once in a while. Randall has been awesome pretty much all season. And, does he go off because he had one bad game? If he does this for, 6 more games, start getting on his case. But, he's been awesome all season.
So he really was, he was missing every shot in the first quarter to the point where he missed, a layup, and then he got the rebound and put it back in. And he was, kind of laughing about how ridiculous it was for all the shots he was missing.
Mm-hmm.
But he was, I think Breen pointed out in the broadcast that he was before the game in practice, he hit every shot. He was before the game, every shot Randle took was going in. So I get Randle also has been on fire, especially in first quarters. So I get that he kept shooting because he was like, I've been making them game after game. I practiced right before the game. I was shooting, could not miss a shot, and I am off. But they'll start going in, and they weren't going in, and.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Everyone has bad games. Steph Curry, maybe the greatest shooter in the history of the NBA, has lots of terrible shooting nights. It's just anyone who shoots high volume has nights where they're just terrible. Donovan Mitchell's having a great year. He's had some awful nights, along with many, many, many really good nights.
Yeah, it's gonna happen, but I'm so far. I'm pretty happy with the way most of the players have been playing. They just it's a young team. There's some new pieces that they're incorporating, and they do have lapses, usually in the third quarter, which is like 20 straight years of that, which is a little odd. But the loss to Milwaukee sucked, and they were up by 17 and they lost. This is also a championship team that they lost to, and and they still have RJ out, and they were in it until the very end. So it sucked. It was really annoying that they lost, but it wasn't. I'm not like, oh my god, this, I'm so down on this team. Like they were in it. Also, Milwaukee hit like 5 straight threes at the end of the fourth quarter. They caught fire.
Right. They caught fire. You also had some maybe not so great defenders in there, like Fournier, who really wasn't great. Like he missed. At the end of the day, you're gonna have nights that are off. I think someone posted. I saw there was a Knicks Muse account which posted that the Knicks lost all of the games, and they pointed out the Knicks are up 51-28 on the Hawks in the middle of the second quarter. Knicks are up 76-60 with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter against Milwaukee last night. Knicks are up 112 to 103 against the Mavericks with 26 seconds to go in the game. And the Knicks are up 117 to 114 with 9 seconds to go against Chicago. They lost all those games. I think any team that's where the Knicks are, where you're kind of a little bit above 500, you're trying to improve, you're going to have games like this. You're going to lose a lot of those. You're going to lose a bunch of games like this because that's part of the steps of becoming a good team. You have to figure out how to win these games. And the Knicks just aren't quite there yet. They're not a great team. They're going to lose games like this, but they're also going to win close games also. And the Dallas game was the most frustrating. Last night was annoying, but the Bucks are also one of the best teams in the NBA.
I said this to you. They are 5-6 in the last 11, and they have a point differential of like plus 53. So,
Yeah,
like
they're not.
Yeah, they're good. They just let's not forget this is one of the youngest rotations in the NBA now too. 8 out of the 9 guy rotation is a 26 or under.
Well, I would say they're a young team, but they only count as a young team to people if they're playing the players they want to see. They're like, why aren't we playing the young guys? You're like, well, they are. Well, why aren't they playing Cam? Well, I'm sorry, they're playing different young guys than the young guys you want, but they're playing young guys.
Yeah, somebody was arguing with me today that Tibbs doesn't play the young guys. I'm like, hasn't that been debunked? Like, Rose isn't playing, Fournier isn't playing. Those are like, Rose and Tibbs are like very, very close. For Tibbs not to be playing Rose, he's turned a corner. He's playing the young guys.
Yeah, I mean they also pointed out last night they put a certain thing on the screen, and this was through they basically through the beginning of last night's game. Basically, the Knicks they lost last night. They're 12-6, but they were 12-5, and since December 14th, they were first in opponents' points, first in opponents' three pointers, second in opponents' field goals. I guess it must be percentage. Or it could be field goals made. They didn't clarify. And second in defensive rating in the entire NBA. They were plus 9.2 net rating, second in the NBA.
That's good. That's
pretty good. I mean, and I'm sure last night game didn't really like hurt these numbers too badly.
No. Couple things going on in Knicks world.
Do you want to wait before we get into a couple things going in Knicks world? Do you want to talk a little more about the game? Because
Sure.
I mean, since last show, the Knicks had a pretty big victory against the Raptors, and they obviously lost to the Bucks last night.
That was the first time they won in Toronto in like a decade, right? Like
first time they won. Yeah, it's since 2015 or something like that.
Yeah, 2015. So about 8 years since they won in Toronto. So I'll take that.
By the way, I want to mention also, Quickly's been playing a lot better, and I'll come back to the game. I know I have ADD, but Quickly's been playing really well lately. What do you feel? How do you feel about Quickly's playing lately?
Much better. Basically everything except his 3-point shot is, he had one game where he shot really well. But everything else is looking so good.
He's not even shooting so poorly anymore. Like his shooting has been the last 2 weeks. I'd say he's been shooting a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing they're missing, obviously, and one of the reasons they didn't beat the Bucks is they're missing RJ. It's hard for the Knicks to be down a man playing one of the best teams in the NBA. But what do you think when RJ comes back,
mm-hmm.
Quickly goes back to the bench? I mean, I assume that's what everyone thinks.
I think so. I would like to see RJ off the bench and lead the bench unit because I think the bench unit needs more of a consistent scorer.
Yeah.
RJ's shot isn't great, but when there was a streak before he got injured where he was driving constantly, and it was like he was scoring at will when he's doing that. If he can focus on that and just penetrating the whole time, he looks really good.
Even his 3-point shooting was a lot better the last few weeks before he got injured.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. The second unit has really been lacking in scoring, and Tibbs been playing around with the lineup so he can get he's had Randall out there with the bench unit a little bit. He's had Brunson out there with the bench unit. He's been trying to mix things up because just a lineup of Hart, Sims, McBride, Fournier, or Toppin or whatever, it's just not going to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And even if even if IQ's out there, they need a little more help on offense. I would try to mix up and try to have. I would try to mix up. Maybe have RJ play. If you don't want to shake things up and you want to have RJ start, I would maybe pull RJ maybe 5-6 minutes into the first quarter,
mm-hmm.
get put quickly in, and then have quickly a little bit overlap with him in the second unit. But have RJ come out and do major minutes in the second quarter with the. I would mix and match. I would definitely want to stagger them a little more, especially RJ and Randall.
Yeah. I mean, it did seem like Tibbs was trying to stagger Randall and RJ a little bit, but I'd like to see a little bit more staggering.
Right, and I wouldn't mind seeing more of quickly with RJ in the second unit, even if that means maybe you put a little more of McBride with the first unit towards the end of the first quarter or somewhere, or just so you maybe mix in with you don't necessarily need extra scoring with the first unit, so maybe McBride's defense can be and his not as great offense, and though his 3-point shooting has been a little better lately.
Yeah.
But it's easier to have McBride maybe with the first unit, and then you have IQ and RJ Moore at the second unit. Again, not benching anyone and playing IQ and RJ major minutes, but maybe just the second unit would look better if they have two guys that can score in the second unit at all times.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so the Raptor game. So first of all, they did not foul. They did not send Siakam to the line 37 times, which I thought was nice. A huge positive.
Which was nice.
Also, Mitch looked pretty darn good against them. He was the Mitch we were missing kind of just came back to life in Toronto.
Yeah. There's a rumor that Toronto is open to getting rid of Gary Trent Jr.
Oh,
if that's the case,
I was hoping you'd say OG or Siakam.
I would love Gary Trent Jr. I would jump on that in a second.
You think the Knicks should get Trent?
Yeah, absolutely.
How tall is Trent? He's not that. He's like a.
I don't know. He's better than pretty much everybody on the Knicks bench.
He's 6'5". I didn't realize he was. I thought he was a little shorter. Do you think he is comfortable being a bench guy? I guess because he's a starter with Toronto, right?
Yeah, but I mean, there's bench guy, and then there's a J.R. Smith bench guy where you're playing 35 minutes a game anyway.
I mean, I wouldn't mind. We could definitely use some extra scoring from the bench. That would be a huge benefit, huge thing for the team to get.
I mean, the Knicks just need to upgrade. Not that they're bad, but they're not winning a championship with this roster. So anytime you can get a guy that's better than somebody who's in the rotation, you do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, you definitely I like McBride, but we could either McBride has to get better or you need to improve that spot. I like
right.
Hart. But again, either he's got to get better or you got to improve that spot. And it goes with everyone. If you can get better at any position or any part in your rotation, the Knicks, it's going to be hard to get an all-star. You cannot, I guess, hard to get a star player. If you can't get a star player, you got to build a team where everyone's really, really good.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you had Knicks have a 9-man rotation, whatever level you want to say about Jalen Brunson or Randall, you could say that maybe they're all-star or just below an all-star. If you could have 9 guys at that level, which is really hard to achieve, that's a tough team to beat, even if you don't have the premier top number 1 guy. Or if you have 5 guys at that level even.
Yeah, like a Detroit-style team as opposed to having Jokic and company.
Right, a more complete team.
Yeah.
I don't know how you definitely necessarily get there. I think the draft Knicks got to keep drafting well. I mean, if you find Grimes, you find IQ late in the draft, you have two first round picks this year, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
If you could nail another guy who's like a real rotation player in that draft, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And then maybe bring another guy in free agency or a trade.
It's gonna have to be a trade. They're capped out.
Yeah, they're capped out. You're right. Well, maybe one of the exceptions. I don't know. But it's hard to get a guy who's also really good under an exception. Doesn't Gary Trent have a big contract or a semi-hard contract to work with?
Yeah, I mean, they don't. They haven't released what Toronto was willing to accept. I mean, if it's like Fournier and Cam or something like that. Yes.
You mean nothing? If they're still willing to accept nothing?
So
his contract. So actually, he could actually be a free agent next. He has a player option for $18 million for next season.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do a sign and trade with them if you basically Fournier to match salaries, and if you gave them, what would you give them for Gary Trent? Would you give them 2 first? Like, I think they're going to want at least a first round pick. Is it worth giving a first round pick to get him?
I'd give him a protected.
You don't value them at all, and neither do the Raptors.
Yeah, I mean, Messiah isn't an idiot, but I would give like 2 protecteds, and Andrew said 64 second rounders.
You mean just how many we have this year? 64.
I mean, that's what all those protected firsts are going to turn into anyway.
Yeah, he wouldn't be a bad guy to get. The thing is, I don't necessarily want to. I don't know if I want to make a trade where I trade first round picks for a guy on our bench when I'd rather draft and develop. Like everyone with the average age is being pretty young. Randall being 28, but everyone else being average age of 23 or 24 years old. I would rather spend another year, maybe draft some guys, see how it goes before you kind of trade first round picks to get a. I wouldn't want to trade first round picks for a bench for even a good score off the bench until we maybe are closer. If we said like, hey, we have a really good team, we have a shot this year, then by all means. If you're saying we have a really good team, if we trade for Gary Trent, we can get 46 victories. I don't know if I want to trade a first round pick to get 46 victories.
I mean, maybe Gary Trent starts.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know enough about his defense. But either way, is he the missing piece?
I'm just saying upgrade. If it's affordable and it doesn't cost you key pieces of the team, why not do it?
Fair enough. If you can get, I mean, the Knicks are going to shop Obi, it sounds like. Maybe the Raptors are interested in Obi.
Well, the rumor that just came out is that the Knicks are looking for 2 second rounders for Cam.
Okay. That seems like a pretty, that came out earlier today. Someone on Twitter said, that's a big haul that they expect for him. And I was like, it's 2 second round picks. The Knicks traded 1 second round pick just to tamper with Jalen Brunson. No one really values second round picks.
Right. And so they did give up a first for Cam, but it was a protected first that's going to turn into 2 seconds, 1 in 2027 and 1 in 2028. There's no way Charlotte is going to get good in the next year or two. That's not going to convert to a first rounder. So basically they want 2 seconds for the 2 seconds they gave up for Cam.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. It's also amazing that like there were a number of people on Twitter today being like, Cam is so good. The Knicks screwed up. He's like awesome. Like, did you watch him at Duke? He was so good at Duke. He's such a good player. At the same time, you have people being like, you really think they can get 2 seconds for him?
Well, I mean, if Cam was so good, somebody would have offered 2 seconds for him.
Yeah.
He'd be off the team immediately. Like that's
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy theories about like why he's not playing or what's going on or how the Knicks are really screwing up. The Knicks defense the Knicks generally as a team have been so much better since they stopped playing him. I'm not saying stopping playing him was the reason, but like the Knicks have been 12-6 since they stopped playing Cam. Are you really that upset about how the team is playing? And they're focusing on playing young players.
Right.
Does anyone want to pay? Also, does anyone really want to pay Cam this summer? Like they're like Cam was going to want a big contract. Why would you want to pay Cam?
The other people who are on the market right now have insane prices. And the fact that Cam doesn't should also tell you something. So I think that Gobert broke the trade market. So right now, Collins on Atlanta.
Yeah.
They're asking for a Gobert-like package. And in Houston, they want a first for Eric Gordon, who's like 55 years old.
I mean, I guess you just put your price up and see who's dumb enough to match it until you get to the trade deadline.
Yeah, I guess once in a while there's a team that's dumb enough to do it. It's just I also just think that everyone's like, well, look at what Minnesota did for Gobert. Like, obviously this player's younger and worth more. I think Minnesota was so dumb. Like all the other GMs now think that that's the value of like players, but it was just Minnesota being dumb.
Right. It's also a pretty good lesson in not doing those kind of trades when you see how Minnesota's like. Minnesota went all in and they're very mediocre.
Andrew said Gordon's only 34, but he's got the body of like a 45-year-old. I mean, when was the last time he's been like really healthy, right?
I mean, I could talk myself into asking for a first round pick. I'd be like, listen, Eric Gordon, like, if you're Milwaukee, you need that one more shooter off the bench. Gordon's the guy, and maybe they'll give us a first round pick. Or you can talk yourself into believing a team that's going for the title might want a guy like Gordon.
I guess. I mean, he's averaging 11 points a game on the worst team in the league.
Right, but he's a useful player. I'm not like, I mean,
I'm not paying
team,
a first for that. That's
of course not. But if you're like, we want to win the title this year, like maybe you're dumb enough to pay for that. No, basically, if you're the Nets, you might be like, Eric Gordon could really maybe help us in the play. This is the way people would pay for what's his name? That can't score. PJ
Tucker.
Yeah.
But you're also paying 19.5 this year and 21 next year.
Gordon's contract is 19.5 next year.
21 next year, 19.5 this year.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So that and a first? No.
Yeah, that seems crazy. And also, yeah. So everyone's going to ask for a lot. I don't think we're going to see another trade as bad as the Gobert trade anytime soon.
No,
I feel like that's almost a lesson for the league of like just how dumb you could be also.
Well, that was a trade that was, at the time, you're like, why are they offering so much? That's way too much. Like it's not even like in retrospect. Like as soon as it happened, people were like, that's a lot.
So I guess going back to the Buck game, were you generally, I thought, by the way, the Knicks, you gave the Knicks like
the point next year is not guaranteed for Gordon. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, you gave the Knicks points differential through the last 11 games. I think if you gave the Knicks point differential through 3/4 of every game, they'd be like through the roof. Fourth quarters have been a nightmare for the Knicks, basically, or just hard to hang on.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought the Knicks generally played pretty well. Like Giannis, Randall did a pretty good job on Giannis. They built the wall against Giannis. He had an okay night, but he didn't like go off. The Knicks made basically the other players on Milwaukee beat them. They like the role players had to hit shots. I mean, Ingles had a crazy game against him. Went 5 for 11 from 3. That was pretty brutal.
Nick effect from Ingles.
Yeah, but he is a very good shooter. He just has been seems like he's fallen off a little bit. Like he's going to have a decent night.
He tore his ACL, so that'll do it.
Yeah, he is a great shooter. Also, Brunson had an awesome game. 44 points. I like the fact that towards the end, like Randall was like, my shot's not going. Let me just keep deferring to Brunson, who was like, no one else can seem to hit a shot. I'm going to go off.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing. Yeah, Randall had a bad offensive game, but he was deferring to Brunson. He got the most assists on the team, and he was hustling on defense. He was really, really going at it with Giannis.
There was also one play early in the first quarter where he missed a shot, and he just basically stole the ball from the other team and went back for a shot. And it was just like he was giving his all on defense. That's what we've been asking for so long.
Yeah. I don't know what made him suddenly decide he's going to go all in on defense, but
I feel like the Knicks play they play a bit of like prevent defense in the NFL. I feel like the Knicks, when they're up at some point in the fourth quarter, play prevent offense.
Mm-hmm.
They try to run the clock down.
Mm-hmm.
They just take ISO shitty shots. They stop relying on half the guys out there. The offense goes to shit at the and like by mid to end of fourth, by at least by the middle of the fourth quarter, the offense just turns off.
They also seem to just stop rebounding at some point too.
I don't know if the rebounding is so off, though. There were a couple possessions against Milwaukee where Milwaukee kept getting the rebound after rebound after rebound. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But do you like who do you blame the fourth quarter on? You blame it on the guys on the floor? Do you think Tibbs should be doing more to get them to like, why don't you include Grimes in the play?
It's mostly the players. It's a little on Tibbs. I mean, Fournier was in crunch time, and he's probably the worst defender on the team. Even Clyde was like, where is Fournier? He's not covering the three-point shooter who just hit a three with nobody within 10 feet of him.
I was looking around. I'm like, why is Fournier still in the game? Why, like, you bring Randall back in with 9 minutes to go. Get Grimes out here also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. The second unit is really bad.
I mean, it's really bad because they're a man short. The second unit is not bad when you have Grimes or IQ in it, but when one guy's injured, now you're replacing maybe Fournier is bad. I kept saying like he's not that bad. I don't know.
He can bring some offense, though he hasn't been bringing that much offense in his return. Yeah, there isn't. I mean, the second unit, McBride can hit a shot every once in a while, but doesn't add a lot in offense. It's a tough second unit. And I mean, so one of the theories behind why the Knicks suck in fourth quarters is because Tibbs has been playing his guys a lot of minutes. And that really has been the case. During this whole stretch, the minutes have been up, especially with being shorthanded. Guys are playing like you look at the first unit last night. Randall 40 minutes, Robinson 37 minutes, Brunson 39, Quick 43, Grimes 34. And we're complaining Grimes didn't have more minutes, but like a lot of minutes for your starting five.
It is. I think part of that is just because a lot of these bench guys have not been really stepping up. Like we all expected a lot more from Hart.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really been doing much.
We were hoping Hart would kind of split minutes with Robinson, not like be a detriment every time he's on the floor. And not that he's been that bad, but
he's been pretty bad.
Good.
He's been pretty
bad.
McBride's every once in a while he looks good, but a lot of times he doesn't look good. And so I think when those guys aren't playing well, Tibbs is like, well, what else can I do other than play the guys who are better?
Right. I mean, the Knicks aren't good enough to not have RJ and really be at their best.
Because
they also
if you
just
notice
need
the starters weren't playing a crazy amount of minutes until RJ got injured.
Yeah, that's when it really went crazy. I also agree with you that, like, you mentioned Gary Trent. Not that we need to trade for Trent, but like you need someone off the bench who could score. Lots of teams have guys that can hit shots on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks, partly maybe because they're going young, they really have no one that can score from the bench.
It's not because
like,
they're young. It's just they don't have
young and not good
shooters.
offensive players.
Yeah, they need. I mean, the starting lineup doesn't even have great 3-point shooters. Although, thank you again, Andrew. Brunson is up to 38% from three.
Brunson's been pretty good. So like Bucamp last night for Milwaukee, and I don't know what year. I think he's young. He had a couple shots. The Knicks need more guys that can hit a couple shots. Like every team we play has one or two guys off the bench. They had Ingles also who can hit a couple shots.
Milwaukee has so many. I mean, you had Grayson Allen, Brook Lopez.
By the way, is it crazy how Brook Lopez early in his career, like the Nets, they were like, well, he's like a back to the basket, like center, plays no defense. Yeah, he's put up good offensive numbers. You can't really build around this guy. And Milwaukee got him on the cheap originally because no one really wanted him. And he went from all the things people criticize him for to like this stretch three who's fantastic on defense, great rebounder, plays, and also like he's everything you want in a center, basically.
Yeah, he's a really good 3-point shooter now, and he plays really good defense, which, complete turnaround. I have to say, which kind of drives me crazy last night also was like Giannis is guarding Randall totally. Like Randall should realize this guy is. I have one of the best defenders on on me, and also when he's not on me and I'm driving to the basket, Brook Lopez is there. Mm-hmm.
You got to get more creative. He's got to maybe defer a little bit on that last shots when he drove into to Lopez and Lopez basically stopped him. He could have just pulled up a little bit early and took a floater from 5 feet away or just a jump shot from like 10 feet away. Yeah. That would have worked.
It looked to me like he was trying to like reach around Lopez and hand it to Mitch.
Yeah.
But Lopez saw that. But like I get he was still trying to defer. He just did it wrong.
Right. I also think like just shoot a floater over him. Like you're like that would make more sense. It's a tough. I mean, you have to recognize sometimes when you're playing at some of the best defenders in the NBA that you have to change your game. You have to change. What
Right,
you're
bully
doing.
ball is not going to work against the Giannis Lopez front court.
Right, you're right. He was trying to reach around that, or I thought maybe he was going to try to get like an and one. He played pretty well. Like, so one point, so he shot terribly overall. Randall shot 9 for 29, but it was also pointed out that he was 8 from 17 within the arc.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't terrible at the 2 point. He just couldn't hit a 3 for the life of him.
Yeah.
yeah,
Overall, I'm not like it's a bad game. It's nothing. It's nothing to go crazy about. Everybody's had a bad game on this team. Brunson's had a couple bad games. Like everybody has bad games. Every player in the league has bad games.
Right. It's not insane at all. The Knicks. So Knicks right now have played 41 games to equal last season's win total. The Knicks have to go 15 and 26.
Yeah, but last season was a big disappointment.
No, my point being basically they'd have to be terrible the rest of the way to play as bad as they did last year. Like they're just a better team.
So
we're making improvements.
This is the tied for the second best record they've had halfway through the season since Ewing.
You're kidding me.
No. They had
holy shit.
They had 26 wins once during that 13-14 season with Melo.
Okay.
And they had 22 wins one other time early before that.
You mean the 12-13 season or 13-14 season?
Whichever one was the good one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, we're going in the right direction. Do you know
I think 5 years ago they had 5 wins. They were 5-36. I mean, I blotted that one out of memory. I didn't remember them even being that bad.
By the way, so where do you think the Knicks rank now? They've been playing defense a lot better. I forget where I should have written down where they were maybe before this winning streak started or before they started playing a lot better. But where do you think the Knicks are in opponent field goal percentage?
Top 10, 6.
They're third in the NBA in opponent field goal percentage, and that's after playing the first 20 games like crap. The only teams that are better than them are the Bucks and the Grizzlies. Where do you think the Knicks are in 3-point field goal percentage? Opponents' field goal percentage.
4.
They are tied for first with the Sixers and the Clippers at 34.2%.
Wow.
That is pretty good.
That is.
Also, where do you think the Knicks are in offensive rating in the entire NBA?
6.
Wow. I'm surprised you would say so high. 9th.
Okay.
Which I think is pretty darn good for a team that's also doesn't seem like they're that great of an offensive team.
Well, I figured they won 8 in a row. That probably bumped them up a lot.
Okay, but it's halfway through the season. And where do you think the Knicks are in defensive rating?
4.
10.
Wow. I'm surprised they're higher on offense than defense.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that. But generally, you're saying basically the Knicks are playing like a top, like maybe the 10th best team in the NBA, if you want to say that? Like just as far as offensive and defensive rating?
They've had one
solid.
loss of more than 7 points out of their last 10 losses. They've all their losses have been very close.
Where do you think the Knicks are in net rating overall in the NBA? Not through the last 17 or 18 games, whatever. Entire season, where are the Knicks in net rating?
Now they're 22-19, which would make you think that they're about 13th. But they've had so many close losses. I'm going to say they're 8th.
They are 8th. They are 8th in the NBA in net rating. I think that's pretty good. The teams that are ahead of them, the Celtics at number 1, Cavs with Donovan Mitchell at number 2, the Grizzlies, Pelicans, Nets, Sixers, Nuggets, then the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, the Knicks are playing pretty well. I don't know.
Bill Simmons did a Knicks missed opportunities podcast.
Oh, by the way, God,
really nice.
Just before we even do that, where do you think the Knicks are in effective field goal percentage? In other words, from them, how good of a shooting team are they?
17th.
26th in the NBA.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And where do you think the Knicks are in true shooting percentage, which takes into account the free throws.
Yeah, Brunson's like the only good free throw shooter. I'm gonna say 24th.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And where do you think the Knicks are in? I think it's just interesting that that's where the game, like their shooting just needs to be better. Need to be better shooting. And where do you think the Knicks are in pace?
They're playing at a quicker pace. I'm gonna say around the middle, 14.
23rd.
Okay.
Okay, we can move on. Obi was back, by the way.
He was
We
back.
want to talk about he played some minutes.
He played what, 8? I think 8 minutes.
Played 8 minutes. He didn't play the entire game. First of all, should we fire Tibbs for only playing him 8 minutes?
Because Obi is amazing. And
Obi's amazing.
Should definitely get all the minutes over Randall.
He hit a 3 last night.
Okay.
I think he got a steal.
Mm-hmm. Good for him. I'm happy for him.
I have to say, despite what people talking about how much Obi does, I am still.
You know what I love about Obi?
I'm down to trade him.
You know what I love about Obi?
What?
His attitude.
He has great attitude.
Obi and Cam are the first guys off the bench cheering for everybody. Obi's like standing the whole time. He's jumping up and down anytime a Nick hits a shot. Like, great guy to have as far as like motivating you and stuff.
Yeah, you said this to me last night. You said like people are like, at least online, they're like, oh, we got to trade him. It's a problem. It's a problem having Cam on the bench. It's a problem having guys that aren't playing. You're like, I don't know if we necessarily have to trade these guys or not, but how is it a problem? These guys seem like could not be cheering harder for the team.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, that the fact that they're into cheer. Like Cam especially, you could understand him being like, Obi's going to get back in the lineup. It seems like Cam is not going to play. You could understand him not cheering the team. If he just sat there and moped the whole time, you'd be like, I get it on some level.
Yeah.
But he's like, I got great seats to a great game. I'm going to cheer.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Knicks are looking pretty good. Some questions. Ramsey writes, what can be done to best top teams? How can we get better? So what's the path to getting better? We talked about hang on, before, I guess, what are the Knicks' path to getting? A lot of people say Randall is not a true number one. And I don't understand the solution of, like, if he's not a true number one, trading him, but the solution is to get maybe a true number one. What are the roads to getting a true number one here?
Basically trading all your assets. You trade your draft picks, trade a couple you're sacrificing some of your younger guys.
So basically a package like the Cleveland did, but not as maybe you hopefully hold back on the player end of it, but you go crazy with the draft picks.
Yeah.
Or getting lucky in the draft. Or maybe RJ takes the leap at some point and becomes better than Randall.
I wouldn't hold out on that third one happening.
I think they're asking a lot of him.
Yeah. I mean, the path really is the draft. Stop punting.
Or a trade.
Stop trading down. Stop punting. There's plenty of guys. Who'd you point out that it was drafted 12th when the Knicks punted on 11?
Jalen Williams on OKC, who looks pretty good.
Going,
I think I got the right name. Now. Williams. That Jalen
Williams.
Yeah, he looks pretty good. Like, I mean, as much as you will say, like, the Knicks, like, one of the things the Knicks found out is their protected picks are not worth as much as they'd like them to be worth. Just because they're a first round pick, people don't treat them the same as far as trading. Maybe if you do draft some guys, then the other team goes, hey, they don't just have a protected first name now. They have another Quentin Grimes. They have another Jalen Williams. They have another really good player. Mm-hmm. Maybe you need those guys if you want to trade for a star, or maybe those guys will develop on your team.
Makes it easier to let go of an RJ or a Grimes or something if you've drafted a couple Jalen Williamses. Like, then it's like, well, this doesn't hurt as much because our depth isn't completely destroyed.
Right. I do think, like, the fact that the Knicks have, like, punted on a draft pick 3 straight years on one of their picks, you just have less depth. Like, as much as like like Ryan Arcedidan, whatever his name is, and
Mhm.
Svi on the bench are guys that are never. The Knicks have no serious plans of playing. Trevor Keels is, I guess he's doing maybe he's in the Westchester. There's no serious plans of these guys being part of the future. You need to draft more guys just so you have a better chance of hitting on some guys. Like Gary Trent Jr. He's a second round pick. We're talking about like trading a first round pick for him or more. I'm not that we're seriously talking about it, but like he was a second round pick. He developed. Even if the Knicks pick like 18th this year in the draft, you could get someone really good. I mean, we played the Spurs the other night. Who's their player that's been playing really well for them?
Devin Vassell,
Kendall or
Johnson.
Kellen Johnson.
Yeah.
I think he was the 29th pick in the draft that RJ won in.
Mhm.
He looks like a heck of a scorer. He was playing pretty well against us. These kind of guys are available every draft. You just have to get lucky with when you pick.
We also have to pick.
You have to pick. You have to make the picks, basically.
Yeah.
So anyway, how do we best the top teams?
They're gonna have to make smart moves. I
Jay,
honestly
I'm
think
sorry.
it's the
I'm sorry.
draft.
Making smart moves
I
is a
know.
little hard. Could you try something else, please?
I honestly think it's through the draft.
I think you gotta. If your average age of most of your guys are like you have young players, then just keep developing. Greg writes top 10 draft snubs.
Draft snubs.
Yeah, I don't know what he's asking.
Oh, I guess guys that fell. I mean, I guess Curry getting having Flynn drafted over Curry was a snub.
Yeah, I mean, you could say Durant didn't go first. Odin went first.
Everybody, the next 6 guys after Darko. The next like 20 guys after Hashim Thabit.
Anyone picked after Kevin Knox?
Anyone picked after Frank? Anybody picked
Anyone
after?
picked after OB?
Everyone picked after every Knicks pick.
It's amazing because the Knicks really have done well like later in the draft.
Yeah, it's just
After
early
pick
in the
20,
draft where they mess up.
Yeah, I guess when more is on the line, they just don't like.
Like they panic. Like the hell was Jordan Hill? That was like such a ridiculous pick.
That was a really ridiculously bad pick. I forget who went after him.
I'm gonna look it up, but I guarantee it's somebody good. I bet the next 4 guys are all really good.
I mean, you look at Knox, they were like, well, he's got a lot of potential. And these other guys, we kind of know what they are, which you don't actually. But with Knox, we have no idea what he could be. And then Frank, he fits what you're looking for in terms of size and like he has the body. Like on paper, he sounds great.
Do you know who was
Drafting is
drafted
hard.
1 pick after Jordan Hill? DeMar DeRozan.
Well, damn it.
There was also Drew Holiday, Jeff Teague.
That was you really can't waste too many number 8 picks in the draft.
The Beast, Damari Carroll.
By the way, Jay, where are they now?
Mhm.
Jared Jeffries. Right.
I always feel so good when millionaires get free stuff. It makes me so happy.
Okay, Jan writes, is the blown big lead the product of coaching or execution by players? Just kidding, it's definitely coaching. Our offensive sets look like something run by a high school team.
Yeah, Tibbs, I guess, is good at getting more out of players than other coaches, but it seems like he's not a good playmaker at all. Andrew said Jokic. That's probably the number 1 draft snub.
That's the number one, one of the best an all-time great player going, 42nd in the draft or something crazy?
He had a triple-double yesterday, shooting 100%.
You know who the Knicks drafted over him? Was it Cleanthony early?
Probably.
But everyone got him wrong. Like, you can't really get mad. Like if you're Minnesota and you picked 2 point guards before Steph Curry was taken, you feel pretty stupid. If you're like an entire first round went by before anyone drafted Jokic, you can't feel that stupid.
So the Knicks, I guess, panicked when they didn't get Curry and just yelled out a random player's name. Like they had no plan other than Curry. Like, well, I didn't think that would happen. I don't know, Jordan Hill.
Well, I think the whole thing was that Golden State had they had another point guard at the time, so they didn't think who was it?
Was it Monte Ellis?
Monte Ellis, yes, it was Monte Ellis. And so they were like, well, they're not going to take this guy who was unbelievable at Davidson. They're not going to take this guy who looked like a phenom in the tournament.
Can you imagine you're Golden State and you're watching Minnesota just completely mess up?
Well, I guess they're going to take Steph with the second pick they have before us.
And
that has to be one of the worst drafts ever. Is that draft by the Timberwolves?
to take 2 point guards and not Steph.
That was unbelievable. What else? By the way, yes, it is coaching. Tibbs needs help. I don't mind even when Jalen Brunson goes a little ISO because he makes the shots. Randall clearly struggles a bit in the fourth quarter when he goes ISO. Either way, they have to involve the rest of the team. It's not working. Terry writes, fans are complaining about lack of offensive production from the bench. How do we rectify that?
Upgrade the bench.
I was going to say sewing RJ's finger back on. I cannot believe how long he's out for. He's supposed to be back soon, but I cannot believe how long he's out from this injury.
So apparently what happened is that his hand hit his other hand, bent his finger, and his bone snapped through his skin. So it was way worse than I thought. I thought his nail sliced his finger, but it was his bone slicing through his finger.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, it wasn't good.
I'm glad he can play. I'm glad he'll be able to play in the NBA again.
Yeah.
Holy crap. That is pretty awful.
So, I guess upgrading the bench, move RJ to the bench, upgrade the bench.
By the way, so it was said by Brunson. They were talking about it during the game yesterday, but they said Brunson said they asked him how has the team chemistry been now versus the beginning of the season, and he basically, in paraphrasing him, he said it's been light years different. It's like day and night from the beginning of the season to now. Everyone's starting to really trust each other. The team is playing much more of a cohesive unit than they were when the season first started, which makes a lot of sense with the team playing a lot better than they did the first half of the season, for the first quarter of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it shows. It seemed like everyone was taking turns doing ISOs in the first 12 or so games, and they still do it, but I feel like they kind of know when to defer and when to where other players are going to be on the court while they're doing it and stuff like that.
I mean, I have to think Tibbs and front office were talking, or Rose were talking, and he was Tibbs at some point just said, I need to play the guys I want to play and stop playing guys for you guys. And at some point they must have said, play who you need to play, just get victories for us.
Right.
And that's when he started benching guys.
Yeah.
It would have been hard last year to bench Fournier because they just paid all the money to get him. But it's easier just to be hey, all your moves sucked. Can I not play any of those guys? And Rose being you're going to get victories? And Tibbs I'm going to get victories. And he's do what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Knicks have a couple games coming up. In the next week, they are playing. They got the Pacers coming up, which should be. Anyone playing the Pacers that you want on the Knicks, Jay?
I don't even want to talk about it.
Okay, so before next show, they play the Pacers, they play the Wizards, they play Detroit, they play Toronto, and they play Toronto. What's going to happen in those 4 games?
Those are all winnable.
Yeah, they're all winnable. I mean, you got so they got a home game against Indiana. Indiana's a very good team, so it's going to be tough. I think they have a point guard that Jay likes. The Wizards, we get to play Porzingis. I hope they can do a lot against Porzingis. Detroit is bad, and the Raptors are a tough game. But the Raptors, I think it's another home game.
I'm going to say 3-1.
That would be pretty damn awesome. They can go 3-1.
And then we're going to a game next week.
Was that next week?
That's next week,
Holy shit, I forgot all about that. What day is it?
Wednesday. It's the Wizards game.
I'm obviously still in the game. I'm still in for the game. I completely forgot we were going though. I can't believe I completely forgot about the game. You'd be like, Mark, I don't see you outside MSG. MSGJ? You mean the TV station?
I'm gonna have to remind everybody. I feel like the doc forgot to.
I completely forgot that. I forgot about the game. I mean, I guess if you asked me if we were going to a game, I would have said no. I'm excited though. That's fun. I can't wait.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna KP trash talk.
Yeah, and they're playing the Wizards. That was going to be dude. But you know when people are booing KP, they don't mean the Knicks podcast. They mean Porzingis. Just to let you know.
So Dolan has apparently this facial recognition thing going on at MSG, and he has like 6 stages of how intense the banning is on certain people. Like Michael Rappaport is like, stage 6. Like police come as soon as Rappaport like comes anywhere near
Really,
the stadium.
he's banned?
Yeah, I think he's like level 5 out of 6. Yeah,
Maybe we should have video on our podcast, Jack.
I was gonna say, we'll know we made it when facial recognition picks us up and kicks us out of the stadium.
Right. You'll be like, there'll be the proudest moment of your life when you'll be like, James, you're not allowed into the stadium. I'm not? The download numbers must be wrong. Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, like level 1 is like they keep an eye on you. Like level 2 is like security, like checks on you. Like by level 3, you're like getting followed. Like it's weird. It's a whole article came out about Dolan's like MSG facial recognition thing.
Well, I mean, hopefully that's the weirdest thing he does all season. Like,
Yeah.
that's not such bad news as far as weirdness. What was I gonna say? So a couple other questions for you. While we have a little bit of time. So IQ is going to be up for a contract this summer. Do you defer or do you sign him this offseason? If they defer, you let him hit restricted free agency the following summer, or you could sign him to a long-term deal this summer. And how much do you pay him?
I want to see if this play keeps up for the second half of the season before I make any kind of decision like that.
Okay. I think no matter what happens, I'm deferring. I'm tired of Knicks necessarily signing guys a little too early. I don't think I like what IQ is doing. I want to sign him to I think I'm up for a long-term deal, but I'd probably want to wait a little bit.
That's fair. Give yourself some flexibility.
Obi, are you definitely trading him? What are you doing with Obi?
Is he even going to get the 2 second-round picks that Cam is not getting?
I think he has. So you don't think he has more? I think he has more value than Cam. I think Obi, you could probably get a first-round pick for him. Maybe a late first-round pick.
Top like 28 protected.
Top 30 protected, but it converts to his 2 second-round picks. Never. You don't think? I think as far as player trade rent, like the guys that the Knicks are willing to move or are more likely to move, Obi's the top in value, I'd say. For guys, they're more likely to move.
Okay.
I mean, can you really argue anyone else? I mean, Fournier is probably, if anything for Fournier, I would just keep him longer to have his contract to trade for next season.
Yeah.
I see no reason to move on from Fournier unless you're getting a good deal for him, because you're already over the cap with or without him.
Yeah, it'll be an expiring next year.
As far as, I think they have Hart for next season already, which I know you're excited about.
Super excited.
You don't think you can get, what do you think? Do you think Obi, you don't think you can get a first round pick for him?
I think it would be heavily protected.
Okay.
Like top 18.
Do you think they could package Obi and Cam and get one guy they'd like to play?
I would hope. I don't know who, but yeah, if you can do that and get a guy that can play 20 minutes a game, that would be nice.
And last question for you for the show. Is Tibbs doing a good job overall? He just got his 100th victory as a Knick, by the way, Knick coach, which not a small achievement for being a Knicks coach, like even lasting that long.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the most winningest Knicks coaches.
Which not saying a lot because
no,
Knicks fans hate him.
It's not. I think he's doing a decent job. I think he's got a roster that is not really well put together, but he's getting the most out of them.
I don't feel the roster's as I know we killed it earlier. I don't think it's as poorly put together as I thought earlier in the season. Do you
There's
think
still
it's that poorly put?
there's still almost no outside shooting.
I mean, it needs more shoot. It needs improvement. Yes, we're not competing for anything this year, but they've built up. Now you have it. It's nice for the first time in a while. Your starting unit is your best unit.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year, like the whole year, basically the starting unit had like the worst. Like always had a poor like plus minus and like.
Yeah, every game it was like, oh, they're down by 13 2 minutes into the game. This is awesome.
Right, and every game you're like, we're up, we're doing really well. Shit, we brought back in the starters.
Yeah.
It's nice at the starting unit. You're like, these are the best players on the team. These are the guys you want in the game.
And before we go, Anthony says, what do you guys think about Hart? You guys really happy to have him?
I really, really fell for this thing on Reddit where some guy had said, the two players I predicted will be great. I called Jokic being awesome, and the second player I'm calling is Hart. He gave this whole long analysis. It sounded intriguing. Everything was about Hart being such a great passer, which he really is a decent passer. Yeah, I'm disappointed. How can you not be disappointed?
I was disappointed. I don't think they're really utilizing him great. They need to use him like they used Noah in Chicago, where like plays run through him.
There was that one game where they did that a little bit, like in garbage time, and he made some pretty nice passes.
Yeah.
But
having him like hide in the corner isn't really.
When he shoots
him.
threes, I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Has he made a three has he made like more than one three this whole season?
I'm sure he has, but it seems like he hasn't.
What do you think he's shooting from three this season?
I'm gonna say like 31%.
I'm gonna say without looking, I'm gonna say 22%. I think 31 looks way too high. He is shooting 24%.
Jesus. Yeah, that's brutal.
You know what he shot last year from three?
31%.
46%.
That's good.
But he shot also 0.4 threes a game. This year he's up to 0.8 threes a game.
All right, so we are NY
Okay.
Knicks Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon. The New York Knicks Podcast.com is our website. Got 2 Knicks Podcast shirts left, so get them while they last. And,
Yes, these are collectibles. They will be worth a lot of. I guarantee these will be worth more than the NFTs you've already purchased.
Mm-hmm. We have a comedy newsletter coming out soon, thebrinkofsanity.substack.com. You can subscribe there. Any of the Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, we have links to our Discord. You could join our Discord. And
I'm thinking about joining.
Yeah, I know. Mark's going to post there one day. And yeah, we'll be back
Isn't
soon.
it annoying that when you go to things and they're like, I went to my website. I was trying to find something out for my son's school. It was like this after school activity thing. And they're like, find out more about more events on our Discord. I'm like, I don't want to know about your Discord. Could you just post them here on the website?
Well, in our Discord, you could chat with me during the games and stuff. So there's that.
If you go on there, Jay may or may not share naked pictures of himself.
Speaking of that, Andrew wants to know what your OnlyFans is, Mark.
Oh, OnlyFans, New York Knicks OnlyFans, NY Knicks podcast. Join me as I watch the games nude.
There you go.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week.
By the way, we joke about it, but I'm sure someone else is making millions of dollars doing that.
Exactly.
Probably a female.
Bye, bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go.
This is the end.
Say goodbye. You better go away.
I'm gonna leave you.
It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone.
Feels so good to say goodbye.
I'm sick and tired and I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye, girl.
Goodbye, everybody.
I think I'm pretty excited about this microphone.
I think it sounds really good.
Awesome. Yeah, it's super simple. The microphone actually it feels heavy, like a quality product.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a good mic.
Yeah, awesome. Good job. Good job picking it out.
Thank you. Yeah, I was like, I need something that's easy to set up, but also sounds really good.
Yeah, you really like the fact that I just plugged it in. And I'm so good with technology that I had it facing the wrong direction for a little bit. But
Yeah, I was like, why doesn't it sound great? And then we realized, oh, Mark has it backwards, and he's talking to the back of the mic. That makes sense.
well, and was I too loud or just the right like I'm like wondering what the I think I'm a decent distance from it or a fine distance from it.
Yeah,
And it sounds fine.
I think it sounds fine now. Andrew said you sounded amazing for the first time, Mark.
Yes, man. This is the Brink of Sanity podcast is going to take off for our next show.
Mm-hmm.
The first time we're like, I could understand the second person on the show.
Anthony said that, not Andrew.
Way to misquote, Jay.
I know.
I
I have two people in the chat, and I messed them up.
the Knicks are
You guys both have to
let's-
have A names. Come on, guys.
I really thought they were going to win last night.
I did too. Not as much as the night they were up by 9 with 30 seconds left, and I went to bed and woke up very confused.
That game was so brutal. I was just that Dallas game. I'm like, I was on vacation. We were on vacation, and I'm watching on the my phone on the MSG app. And I'm like, first of all, I'm so tired. I'm like, please don't let this game's got to end pretty soon. Get the victory ready so I can go to bed. And then I'm like, going to fucking overtime. I can barely keep awake, and I have to watch the fucking Knicks lose this. I know they're gonna lose the game, but I can't turn this off.
I know. I was like, finally, I can go to bed. Like, I'm really tired. 30 seconds left. It's wrapped up. I'll go to bed. There's no way they're going to lose this. And
There's no way they're gonna lose this.
you should have went to bed when it went into overtime. You're not blowing a lead like that and then winning in overtime.
No, that's true. I actually should probably turn games off at the end of the third quarter. I think I'd be just much happier. I'd be like, well, Jay, another victory last night. We lost. How is that possible? We were up by 10 at the end of the third quarter. Oh, you've not heard of what they call the Knicks fourth quarter.
Andrew said you're bringing about your 9th vacation of the year.
Look, well, the year just started, so
yeah.
I've got a whole nother.
So if we're keeping track,
I see.
We're 1 week into the year, and Mark's already been on one vacation.
Well, that was technically a December vacation. I'm into a whole new year, so I haven't taken any vacations yet, Jay. My first vacation really is planned for February.
You're gonna have to. So, you're waiting a whole 5 more weeks before you go on vacation.
So I'm trying to decide. So
how many vacation days a year do you get?
So I'm gonna do we have a week vacation with our family. Then I have a friend who's getting married. My friend Jeff, who came on the show one time, he's gonna get married. His bachelor party is gonna be in Denver skiing. I think at Vail. So I've already booked that trip. And then I was trying to decide what I should also do. My cousin's spring training trip, which is 2 weeks later, in March. So like the bachelor party, it would be like from Thursday to I think Sunday or Thursday to Monday. Thursday to Sunday, I think I've already booked that. And then like 2 weeks later, should I go on the trip to Florida?
Yeah, why not?
I was like, this is really too much.
Yeah, I think you would have used all of my.
How much vacation do you get?
I get 15 days and I get no sick days.
You get no sick days?
No sick days, just 15 days. That's vacation and sick days combined.
Oh. So I don't have any number at all. So it's just do whatever you want.
And you do.
Yeah, I do actually do whatever I want. There's no big number of vacation days, so it doesn't really matter.
That's very nice.
You should sign up for that.
I would love to. Then I wouldn't have to work through COVID and mono.
What would you get your last job, the one you hated?
It's like 20, somewhere between 23 and 27. I don't remember.
Total days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no,
that's
no,
pretty
no,
good.
no, that's without sick days.
Wait, you had more than 4 weeks of vacation?
I think I had 23 days and then unlimited sick days, but they really 8 is where they start keeping an eye on you and asking if you're really sick or not.
So I think I feel like 3 weeks is a little low. 4 weeks seems like I think most jobs should have 4 weeks.
Yeah. I
My
have
first
like
job,
2 weeks.
I had 2 weeks. Um, that kind of sucked. But since I've been at this job, it's been there's. I mean, I guess I could take too much vacation, they'd get annoyed, but it's not really hasn't been an issue yet.
I worked with a guy once who every Friday said he was having heart pain and needed to go home. And he did it like 5 Fridays in a row. He would come in for like an hour and he'd be like, "Oh, my chest hurts. I got to go home." And so my boss asked for a doctor's note, and magically his chest was fine from there on.
It would be great if your boss was like, "Give me a doctor's note," and he just drops dead. I mean, also just in fairness, like my vacation is like end of December is just like a dead week in my job. I usually take a vacation in August, like late August, but that's like also a dead week in my job.
Yeah, I feel super bad for you. Having 5 weeks.
No, I'm just saying it's not like I'm missing like this like prime time of work. In the March, I'm like talking about taking like an extra like 2 days off each, like I guess like 4 days off. Like I don't think I take a crazy amount of vacation.
It's like a week.
I take 4/5. I'm taking 4/5 of a week. Well, I guess I was thinking about flying on Thursday. Like basically, I would take 2 days off for one of the trips and 2 days off for the other trip. They're both over weekends. That's not so crazy. When just Jay, are you using your vacation this year? Any plans yet to use it? And by the way, you do also go to Thailand. Like it's not like you don't like take your vacation.
Yeah, I went like 3 times over the span of like 6 years. So yeah, Cal wants me to go like every year now, but like I'm like that's like almost all my vacation for the whole year on that one trip. So like
It's also a pretty expensive trip.
yeah, it's pretty expensive too. Well, it's not that expensive because like we stay at our parents most of the time, so we're really not paying much for food or staying anywhere. It's really just
So it's really
flight.
just getting there
Yeah.
basically.
But like I don't know. I joined a gym and I've been going, and like I feel like maybe if losing weight like gets rid of the apnea, like maybe the flight won't be as traumatic for me. Because right now it's just I feel like it takes like a week off my life when I go. It's really bad.
I don't know the way you describe your life. I don't think that's so bad that you lose a week.
My life has been pretty good since as soon as I got laid off from my last job, like my trajectory in life has just been going up.
No, you've been pretty happy. Like it seems like things are going like a million times outside of like stupid stuff. Like generally, it seems like you're much happier.
Yeah,
like a million times happier.
My apartment's a million times better. My job's a million times better. Soon we'll be successful card game producers, and then you could take like a 7th vacation a year.
I think the yeah. So we have that. And we probably should do a trip. We'll do a trip at the end of August. May or may not do a trip when my kids are in camp.
Mm-hmm. Why not? Why not?
We're also presently having our bathrooms done at our house, and we have what else? And my wife now wants to do the floors.
Yeah, do it up.
Why not?
Add a 3rd story. Why not?
Why the hell not? The bathrooms that's a project.
So Andrew's
So
asking-
the new medicine cabinet we have has like 3 buttons on it. One button for like an extra light, one's like a defogger on it.
You
And she said I asked my wife, I was like, what's the deal? She said it was included. She's like you can have a regular one or the one with the buttons. And I was like, I guess I would take the buttons. That sounds pretty cool.
Andrew's asking if I have a balcony. I'm like, there's only like 2 rows of apartments that don't have balconies in this like whole building, and I'm one of them.
Oh.
But the balconies cut into the living room, and so the apartment does feel like a lot smaller. My friend 2 doors down has the balcony, and it's like the way it's built. It's the balcony sticks out, but I guess the way they do the door and stuff, like it sticks like a foot into your living room. So like I have a full dining room table, and they have like a little like half table because it's like, you know,
I feel like
because
that's
of the balcony.
the way you're describing it. I'd rather have your situation than their situation. I mean, like, I feel like balconies, like you don't use them as much as like you think you'd use them.
The idea of using a balcony, you'd be like, oh yeah, I'd be out there every day. But then like whenever, first of all, it's going to be too cold for like 4 months of the year. anytime it's raining, anytime it's too windy, because like we have a golf course behind us, so it gets windy a lot. So like, yeah, and then over the summer it gets too hot. I'd probably use it like 2 months a year.
The my first apartment in the city, there were three of us in like a 2-bedroom, and there was a balcony, but you had to cut through one of the guy's bedrooms to get there. So it wasn't that convenient because you had to like go through his bedroom to use it.
Right.
And just generally, just once in a while we'd use it, but it really wasn't used that often. Does your building have like a does your building have like a roof deck?
No.
Oh, that would be cool to have.
It would.
Though even that you don't use that often either.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a balcony in Brooklyn, and we used it a good amount, but that was, I mean, it had like a Manhattan skyline view, and we were on the top floor, so it was different.
I mean, you'd probably use it, but like having the extra, I think having a dining room table is more valuable than having a balcony.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, just having like the open space and like, because it was so cramped in Astoria, like having the open space, I think is also reducing my anxiety.
I thought I liked your place in Astoria. I didn't think it was that bad of a place, but even though you hated the neighbors and everything about it.
Well, I mean, all the neighbors were terrible. Yeah, I feel like we just outgrew it. It got too cramped.
You were there for a long time. I like the location. Like there was like a lot of cool stuff around you guys.
Yeah, but even then, the neighborhood changed, and now it's like loud and dirty, and just like I went back like a month or two ago, and I'm like, this feels like the city now, like just cars honking and like those fart cars that are super loud and everything.
Fart cars?
Yeah, those cars that like pop. They made like that loud popping noise.
I'm gonna look for that, but no, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Like cars that like backfire. They do it on purpose. They make the cars like super loud on purpose.
Yeah. I'll notice this now. I'm sure this is not an actual thing.
But like the neighborhood like completely changed over. When I first moved, it was like all European, and like it's just it's pretty garbage now.
Awesome.
They opened up an Indian restaurant like 3 doors down from me, and it's like some of the best Indian food I've ever had. So I'm very excited about that.
Oh, you sit by the train, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if I come Friday, it'd be cool to actually see your place.
Yeah.
And this is the first time since COVID had started that you'd actually let me in.
True. That is true. I've calmed down enough to let Mark in.
Remember I assume you're not wearing your COVID outfit anymore going outside?
No. I mean, I wear the mask on the train usually. But like, I don't really wear it anywhere else.
I was reading that the new strain or variant of COVID, they're like it like defeats all vaccines, and like if you had it before, you'll get it again. And it's the dominant one coming, and it's some weird letter combination. And it's like, great, sounds wonderful. Sign me up.
Yeah, everyone's gonna get it again. But
everyone's gonna get it again. But it's at some point it'll be, I am out with COVID. Will you be back tomorrow? Yeah, it should be died down by tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah,
like it's gonna be less and less where people are gonna be like, don't quarantine, just wear a mask in the office, and we'll be good.
Well, I'm going to shut the live room. Thanks for joining, guys. Appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll catch you guys when we do Brink soon, too. And, we'll be back
with
soon.
my new microphone.
I know. It's good. I'm excited.
It's amazing. Our show is